can we hear the drum roll for Ananth and Balaji as they walk up onto the stage? Yes, Khushbu, that's it. Let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I know a lot of you are quite tired. From morning, we have been having the continuous back-to-back sessions. So we have a couple of more, the important the speakers coming up. And then later we have the award session. So we request you to stay back and then also invite any of your friends or chapter members who are outside. So kindly invite them here. So we'll be having the chapter awards as well. So kindly invite all of them into the room. Okay, now, so now, you know, all of us, we know that Bangalore, we have completed about 15 years. So this is a long journey. So definitely the 15 years is not a short one. So a big round of applause to all the people who are part of this particular journey, making it so memorable for each one of us. So now I want to ask Balaji. Balaji, in this 15 years, okay, we have spent together, and then what do you think, like what's your kind of memories or the cherishable moments which you want to share with us? So what is that you want to share with us?
15 years is a very long time, and he's asking me for only one memory, right? So I'm going to take a little while to share one favorite memory of mine. So Ananth, if you could just please sit down for a few minutes.
I'll do that.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of memories that we have over the last 15 years, and some of the main ones we have catalogued it and put it in the event book that you have with all of you. But if I were to pick one, it was in 2011 when all of us were attending the BNI International Conference, and Norm Dominguez, who was the heading operations worldwide. So he came over during some open networking and said, so do you guys know that Bangalore is #1 in the world traffic lights? And I said, no, I don't know, because I did not even know that there was something called world traffic lights, right? So it's total news to me. So I said, no. And it was a surprise as well as a fantastic moment, because 2 years later, forget about world #1. It was quite likely that we might have been in the bottom of the world, right? Why? Because in 2009, Neeraj Shah, who was the national director that time, he called me up and said, Balaji, what's happening in BNI Bangalore? A lot of members are leaving and your growth is stagnating and so on and so forth. So do something about it. So I asked him, what do I do? Tell me, give me some advice. We were all new in BNI that time, right? Neeraj, Mumbai, Bangalore, all of us were kind of figuring out what to do. And he didn't have a good answer, but he had a very good suggestion. So what he said was, attend the international conference and do a lot of one-to-ones with EDs across the world and find out what are they doing, and maybe that will help. And that was a fantastic suggestion. And thanks to Murli Srinivasan, and some of you who have worked with him, you'll know his work ethic, right? So he set up 21 one-to-ones for us among the top EDs in the world, right? And those one-to-ones used to start off at 6 a.m. in the morning, go on till 10 in the night. 20 of them we did in those international conferences. Both Murli and I were doing it. And we were trying to figure out what are these EDs doing that we can learn from. What are they doing that we can learn from? And some amazing practices came out. And later, I was looking at all of these things. I had taken a lot of notes. And I said, okay, what are these guys saying? Is there something fundamental essence that we can pick up? So one particular story that really, stuck with me was what Tom Fleming told us. Tom Fleming was the executive director of Tampa, and he was running a fairly large region that time. And when we used to attend ED trainings, this was the kind of mindset that we had in terms of what EDs were supposed to do. So what were they supposed to do? So what in the training they told us, imagine a Tibetan temple, Buddhist temple, and the ED is supposed to do this. They'll go to the first chapter, and maybe the energy will be low there. So they'll, give a momentum to that the prayer wheels which are there in the Tibetan temple. They give some momentum to the first wheel. It'll start spinning. Then you'll go to the next wheel. You spin that, go to the next wheel, and so on and so forth. And by that time, the first wheel would have slowed down. So you come back to the first wheel and start spinning again. So that's what we used to be trained as EDs. So Tom Fleming told us, what if the first prayer wheel gave energy to the second prayer wheel, the second prayer wheel gave the energy to the third prayer wheel, and so on and so forth? Wouldn't that be better? And I said, yes, of course it will be better. Why not? Because then we don't have to be, we can work a lot lesser. But there was a core message over there. And what was the message? It was much better for chapters to teach other chapters what was happening. And that was the origin of the leadership team roundtables, right? And there was another interesting message over there, which a lot of these successful EDs were sharing. And they were sharing that, see, the chapters don't belong to the EDs. The chapter belongs to the members. It's the members chapter. And that was, again, a fundamental mind shift for us, because till that time, we EDs, Mac, myself, Ananth, we used to think, whenever there's a problem in the chapter, we will go into the chapter and solve the issues. So when I came back to Bangalore, I got Mac, Ananth, Murli, we all sat down and, I had prepared a document called The Essence for BNI Bangalore, right, where all these fundamentals were kind of captured. And I told the three of them, guys, we need to stop going to the chapters every now and then, right? Because if we are there, chapter members are not going to take ownership. Let's stop that. Instead, let's do the LTRTs and the weekly telebridges so that we can give them what's the best practice, what's the best way to run the chapter. So that way, we'll create the space for leadership to emerge in the chapters. And that's exactly what we did in 2010 beginning. And by 2011, we were world number one. And thanks, hats off to the three of them, Mac, Ananth, and Murli, because, when I made those suggestions, they accepted it wholeheartedly, and they implemented it, really, really well in the region. So there were several other best practices we picked up, from various regions which were doing very well. And one of the first ones, another very important one, which changed the landscape, I think, in Bangalore as well as India, was having separate, teams for launch and support. Earlier to that, DCs were doing the same thing. They used to launch and support the chapter. In fact, we have Kumar, one of the first DCs in BNI Bangalore, who launched GEMS as well as supports GEMS even today. Right? But once we created those two teams, we saw phenomenal growth happening in BNI Bangalore as well. And of course, these practices, not that, and there are several of them that we have captured in the book that we are given, the event book. So please treasure it, because you can refer to them and kind of figure out, okay, what is the essence of it? What was the meaning behind those practices, and so on and so forth. And we are constantly learning. There's so many things that we have innovated and made it better and better. And more recently, we are getting inspired by Ayush and Sanjana, right? How can you have mega launches and so on, right? And inspired by them. So this happened just now, 2 weeks back, right? We were sitting in a launch DNART and saying that, okay, these guys are doing this, how can we also do this? Okay, so we are launching a chapter within 3 weeks, from start to finish, right? So a lot of team effort happening, and within 3 weeks, from 0 to around 25 members have happened, and we'll be doing a joint. And thanks to our senior launch DCs, Annie Kumar and Yogesh Chug, and several. I think Kushal was the one who gave the idea, why can't we do it together? Let's do it together, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things. But whenever these practices we implement, we make sure that they're rooted in the fundamentals of BNI, because only then we can create strong chapters. So, I can go on and on, but please read that book, event book, and I think now I'd like to pass it on to, okay, by the way, I talked about ownership, chapters taking ownership. Once we did that, that is when Bedazzlers became a 50-member chapter, platinum chapter. Ownership happened in the Champions chapter, Mangal Chand Chain took the ownership in Champions chapter, and we had the world's largest chapter, 100-member chapter, and so on. And we had, Annie starting the first Hall of Fame chapter in India, right? All of that happened because these members took ownership. And, Bangalore is truly a members region. Over to you, Ananth.
Thank you. Thank you, Balaji. So for me, it was always, when it comes to my memories, it's always the BNI is all about abundance, right? This is what happened in 2015 when we went to the international conference when Graham had put this particular slide saying that what if, and then myself, Mac, Balaji, all of us were sitting, and then I just wrote in a paper that what if all the 2,000 people, at that time it was about 1,500 people, so if all of them, if they attend BANG, they attend a members day, it was not called as BANG rather, so how it would look like. So for me, it's always an abundance. Like whatever we do in BNI, there is so many things available. It is all available in abundance. So are we making use of this? So since I don't want to miss out anything, I'm just going to read out what I have written. So first, let us look at the BANG itself. In 2016, when we went to the World Conference, Graham talked about what if it started there and has become so big. When I came back, and shared it with the people, Dr. Sudhir took over the charge and then made the Members' Day so large, then next year, Dr. Ivan himself declared it as a world's largest Members' Day at that time. So a big round of applause to all of them. So before BANG, we did one mega fitness day, and it had over 1,200 participants from that time, creating more, the more and more the leaders to emerge. And at that time, it was bugging in me that we need to create some big mega event, something like that. So then came the Beats. So that is a mega sports event, what we did for the Bangalore entrepreneurs. So that was a huge one with, on the final day, we had about over 1,000 people. And then in the one full month long, we had several people participating in a lot of fitness and then the sports activities. What is the outcome of that particular event? So we had so many new leaders emerged in Bangalore. Okay, so a lot of new leaders, like for example, we had Rajashri, Vignesh, Deepthi, Venki, Manoj, Puneet, Apurva. So there are many new leaders were literally born because of that particular event. And during the pandemic, when all of us were house arrested, there was no the events happening, right? So at that time, out of the blue, a team was formed to support the needy people in Bangalore. So that time, so we formed a think tank. So again, Dr. Sudhir pitched in, and a lot of people like Dr. Pradeep, Dr. Premlata, Ramana, Annie, Krishna Prakash, P.S. Rao, Sumati, Aarti, Richard. So all these people, joined together, and then we formed a team where we started supporting the families of BNI. Like, if you just say the BNI is about 2,500 members, so their families and their staff all put together, I think over 30,000 people we would have touched during the bank cares. So that's another thing which happened as an. So this is exactly one more the reason why everything in BNI is abundant. We had over 250 volunteers supporting 24/7 all these families. And so the next one is like for the women entrepreneurs, we did something called as the Bees Bazaar. Okay, again, immediately after the pandemic, when things were really down and the people were feeling bad, so we wanted to help a lot of women entrepreneurs. So that is where the Bees Bazaar started. And then Sumati and Aarti, so they just came forward and then started this particular movement. And all the women entrepreneurs were given an opportunity to first time come out and then be a part of an event. So it's always a BNI is a moment for me. So we are surrounded with the leaders with so many records for themselves actually. And for example, Venu crossing over 80 plus sponsorships. So Venu, a big round of applause to him. Santosh with over 1,500 plus visitors, and David with 10 plus chapters launchers, and then Rajesh with about 12 years of no absence, no late, no substitute. Okay. So finally, I just wanted to say, BNI gives you an opportunity to create your own mark. Okay. So you can create your mark here. And it is not someone has to assign you something. So make use of BNI to create your own sculpture. So you are the creator of your sculpture, and then you can carve it for yourself. So that is what BNI teaches, and that's what I have learned in last 15 years in BNI. So thank you very much.
Can we hear a big round of applause for Ananth there? Ananth and Balaji, fantastic. Thank you so much, Ananth.